Adoption and diffusion of innovation. Adoption and diffusion of innovation. Topic: Adoption and diffusion of innovation. Stage of adoption. Adopter category. Innovation decision process. Attribute of innovation. Diffusion process. Factor affecting adoption and diffusion process. Adoption and diffusion of innovation. Adoption and diffusion of innovation. Adoption is a decision to make full use of an innovation as the best course of action available. Rejection is a decision not to adopt an innovation. The small scale trial is often part of the decision to adopt and is important as a means to decrease the perceived uncertainty of the innovation of the adopter. Diffusion is the process by which an innovation is communicated through certain channel over time among the member of a social system. It is a special type of communication in that the messages are concerned with new idea. Innovation is commonly defined as the carrying out of new combination that include the introduction of new good, new method of production, the opening of new market, the consequence of new source of supply, and the carrying out of the new organization of any industry. Diffusion of innovation is a theory of how, why, and at what rate new idea and technology spread through culture. The concept was first studied by the French sociologist Gabriel Tardes and by German and Australian anthropologists such as Friedrich Ratzel and Leo Frobenius. The publication of a study of Ryan and Gross on the diffusion of hybrid corn in Iowa was the first sustainability visible contribution in a broader interest in innovation. Diffusion of innovation is defined as the process by which an innovation is communicated through certain channels over time among the member of a social system. Roger. Element of diffusion of innovation. Element of diffusion of innovation. The key element in diffusion research are innovation. Roger defined as innovations as an idea, practice, or object that is perceived as new by an individual or both unit of adoption. Communication communication channel. Communication channel. A communication channel is the means by which message get transferred from one individual to another. Time. The innovation decision period is the length of time required to pass through the innovation decision process. Rate of adoption is the relative speed with which an innovation is adopted by member of a social system. Social system. A social system is defined as a set of interrelated units that are engaged in joint problem solving to accomplish a common goal. Type of innovation decision. Type of innovation decision. An individual or an organization or social system base the type of decision on whether an innovation is adopted or rejected. The three type of innovation decision are optional innovation decision, collective innovation decision, authority innovation decision. Optional innovation decision. The decision is made by an individual who is in some way distinguished from other in a social system. Collective innovation decision. This decision is made collectively by all individuals of a social system. Authority innovation decision. This decision is made for the entire social system by few individuals in position of influence or power. Stage of adoption process. Stage in adoption process. Diffusion of an innovation occurs through a five-step process. This process are type of decision making. It occurs through a series of communication channels over a period of time among the members of a similar social system. The five stages in the adoption process are knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation, and confirmation. Knowledge. This is the stage the individual is first exposed to an innovation but lack information about the innovation. It should be noted that during this stage of process, the individual has not been inspired to find more information about the innovation. Persuasion. In this stage, the individual is interested in the innovation and actively seek information or detail about the innovation. Decision. In this stage, the individual takes the concept of the innovation and weigh the advantage or disadvantage of housing the innovation and decide whether to adopt or reject the innovation. Implementation. In this stage, the individual employ the decision. In this stage, the individual take the concept of the innovation and weigh the advantage and disadvantage of using the innovation and decided whether to adopt or reject the innovation. Implementation. Implementation. In this stage, the individual employ the innovation to a varying degree depending on the situation. During this stage, the individual determine the usefulness of the innovation and may search of further information about it. Confirmation. Although the name of the stage may be misleading, in this stage the individual finalizes his decision to continue using the innovation and may use the innovation to its fullest potential. Characteristic of innovation. Characteristics of innovation. Roger defines several intrinsic characters of innovation that influence an individual decision to adopt or reject an innovation. The relative advantage is how improved an innovation is over the previous generation. Compatibility is the second characteristic, the level of compatibility that an innovation has to be assimilated into an individual's life. The complexity of an innovation is a significant factor in whether it is adopted by an individual. If the innovation is too difficult to use, an individual may not adopt it. The fourth characteristic, triability, determines how easily to an innovation may be experimented with as it is being adopted. The final characteristic, observability, is the extent that the result of an innovation are visible. Innovation is an adopter category. Innovation, innovation, innovation is an adapter categories. Innovativeness is the degree to which an individual is relatively earlier in adopting new idea rather than other member of his social system. Roger defined an adopter category as a classification of individual within a social system on the basis of innovativeness. The category of adopter are innovators, early adopter, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Innovators. Innovators are the first individual to adopt an innovation. Innovators are willing to take risks, youngest in age, have the highest social classes, have great financial lucidity, very social, and have closest contact to scientific source and interaction with other innovators. Early adopters. This is second faster category of individual who adopt an innovation. These individuals have the high degree of opinion leadership among the other adopter categories. Early adopters are typically younger in age, have a higher social status, have more financial lucidity, advanced education, and are more social forward than late adopters. Early majority. Early majority individual in this category adopt an innovation after a varying degree of time. This time of adoption is significantly longer than the innovators and early adopters. Early majority tend to be slower in the adoption process, have above average social status, contact with early adopters, and show some opinion leadership. Late majority, late majority individual in this category will adopt an innovation after the average member of the society. This individual approach an innovation with a high degree of skepticism and after the majority of society has adopted the innovation. Late majority are typically skeptical about an innovation, have below average social status, very little financial lucidity in contact with other in late majority and early majority, very little opinion leadership. Lagarde. Lagard's individuals in this category are the last to adopt an innovation. Unlike some of the previous category, individuals in the category show little to no opinion leadership. These individuals typically have an aversion to change agent and tend to be advanced in age. Laggards typically tend to be focused on traditions, have lowest social status, lowest financial fluidity, oldest of all other adopters, in contact with only family and close friends, very little to no opinion leadership. Thank you.